All right, now to Gina Neil, who says the pressure really isn't so much on Mr. Trump as it is on the establishment that still has a hard time accepting the fact that the Donald is their nominee. Explain that.
Yeah, they don't get it, and they are so tone deaf, Neil, that it's almost unbelievable, I think, for we in the general public who have been fighting against the establishment for all of these years. We just can't understand how they can't understand where we are. But here's what's really happening behind the scenes, Neil, in my personal estimation, having worked inside politics and outside politics, as you know. It is that they want to exact something out of Donald Trump. These meetings don't happen because they just want to feel good. That's just a line. They want something from him, and that's what this meeting will be all about.
You think that they would all of a sudden change their views on him, given the fact that in some recent polls, he's quite competitive with Hillary Clinton? This idea that it'll lead to a blowout, well, it might be the other way around. And I had noticed, at least in some comments, that, well, we're not necessarily hooking up to the Titanic here. Yeah, well, we'll talk to him. Yeah, well, it might not be such attention convention. What changed?
You have to ask yourself, don't you, why they're not pointing to the fact that it is not the GOP that is fractured. Actually, from the moment Donald Trump went down that escalator, he's been the front runner. This is simple. He's gotten more votes than any other candidate. We know that. We've talked about that. Look at the other side. You have Bernie Sanders now with his 20th victory, winning 40% of the Democrat primary vote right now. It's the other side that's broken. Why aren't the GOP establishment pointing to that factoid and talking about how broken they are?
Well, if the GOP establishment is, and certainly the media isn't wasting a moment to point out some problems with Donald Trump of late. The Washington Post struck me with a page one story that goes back through his, I guess, carousing years, as if to remind people, you know, the guy is a pig. That's what they're saying. It's interesting that it lands on page one. Then the New York Daily News. Of course, I'm so used to over the top, in another land type front page, but the lice president saying that, you know, more people would have problems dealing with Donald Trump than they would lice. My point is that the media is going full crazy throttle on the prospect that Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee and a serious shot at the presidency. How do you think Republicans should respond to just that?
The Republicans should be on the side of what is the presumptive nominee at this point. And if they're not, then we need to look at the questions of why they're not. What exactly is in it for them? Because people are motivated by base instincts, Neil, and politicians are no exception. And in fact, in some cases, because of perhaps a little more advanced narcissism, they might be looking at that even more so. So they're looking at, you know, what is he going to shake up? Is he going to end some of the crony capitalism that they're all enjoying?
But should he dial anything back, Gina? I know you expressed support for him and things he could help the party, help the country and all that. But does he have to dial anything back? The personal attacks, et cetera. How do you think that meeting should go? You're a psychologist. You're real schmatty pants with this. I mean, how do you think both sides should comport themselves?
Neil, I've been very honest all the way along. I have never liked the raw and brutal honesty of Donald Trump. But I think what you have is an electorate looking at this situation, picturing a side by side, right? And they're picturing a Donald Trump on the one side who may be raw. He may be too honest at times. He may speak his mind at times. But you're holding that up to a Hillary Clinton who has lied, who has covered up, who is known by the American public as a very dishonest person. And people are going, I kind of like those chances. I kind of like the idea of shaking everything up and having somebody that even if I don't like what he's saying, I know that he really believes what he's saying, because that's unusual for us to see in politics. So I think that's the psychology of the American electorate right now. And I think that the media and the establishment are going to have to accept this fact because it's where we are at this point in history. And remember this too, Neil, in our history, we haven't always liked our leaders, right? Think back. I mean, you think of Margaret Thatcher, who did a great job for her country, but wasn't the most warm person. You can think of a Winston Churchill, a Teddy Roosevelt. The list goes on. Likability, I think, might matter less than a person who they think can get the job done at this point.
What do you think of Justin Bieber no longer allowing people to shoot pictures of him?
Well, I hope he's in the building today because I was hoping for a selfie. Can you work that out for me?
Can you believe that, really? Justin, get a clip. All right, Gina, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.
All right.